behalf of Councilman Ramos, I want to thank everybody for joining us today on this seminar in regards to payroll protection loans. And I'm going to turn it over to our North Ward Councilman, Anibal Ramos, Jr.
Good morning, everyone. I want to take this opportunity also to welcome each and every one of you for participating in today's call and say thank you. I hope that you all and your family are holding steady during this crisis, and I wish everyone here good health. And in particular, I want to thank BCP Bank for reaching out to our office to provide some information to many of our local businesses who have not had an opportunity yet to take advantage of some of the federal loan programs that may be available to you all. We understand that the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP program, was authorized initially as part of the CARES Act, was refunded for a second time on April 27th, where the federal government put in another $310 billion as part of this initiative. A lot of this money is being distributed through community banks like BCP, and we definitely want to see more of our local businesses take advantage of this program. So it's our goal here today through this a very quick seminar to give you some more information about the program, how BCP may be able to help broker some of that access that we need locally. And we do have a number of key community stakeholders on this call. I want to recognize freeholder Bobby Mercado, who I see on the call. I see Dupree Kelly on the call. And Chris Bernardo, thank you so much for your support. Chris is a person who oversees 2 of our improvement districts beyond providing services to a number of other improvement districts throughout the city. And Chris is someone who we consider to be a key community stakeholder when it comes to spreading the word for our local businesses. And we know that a lot of our businesses have gone through an incredible transformation over the last 2 months. You're talking about businesses that many people have worked their entire lives to build. And unfortunately, we're in a position right now of a lot of uncertainty, of reduced work hours or store hours. And in some cases, these businesses have been closed for quite some time. And there's definitely a lot of anxiety with our small business community, and any kind of support that we can offer them or access to support is very critical at this time. So I'm going to turn it over to Luis from BCP to do some introductions. And I also see Jerry Blankman here, the president of BCP Bank, who's joining us on this call.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Councilman Ramos, for the invitation. We are here to share what we have. Still money available for those businesses that didn't qualify on the first round. And, you know, as a community bank, we have committed to serve our communities, the communities that we serve. And we have the opportunity that in the next 30 to 60 days, we will be opening our branch in Newark. And that's the main reason, because we want to focus on the Newark community. I have the pleasure to work at 59 Lincoln Park for a couple of years on my previous job. And I'm very familiar with the city and with the restaurants and everything that happened there. And we know the importance of this help, especially for minority-owned businesses and for non-for-profits in the city of Newark. The program have been designed to keep people at work, and that's why it's called Payroll Protection Program. And we are willing to consider those businesses that for any reason they didn't qualify. In some cases, is because the bank that they bank at, they close and they are not willing to consider new applications. The other reason was because the business owner didn't have the ability to collect the documents that are required. And the documents are, the easy one is 940, 941, or W-3 form. That's the way that you can prove the money that you spent on payroll during 2019. And we have the application and everything that is needed. Just remember that BCB will need to provide the money to the customer and wait until the SBA refund that money in the next couple of weeks or months. That's why we need to make sure that we collect the proper documentation in order for us to get access to that money. After 8 weeks that the money have been disbursed, the customer will have the opportunity to prove that they use that properly. And in that case, that money doesn't need to be repaid. But as I say, it's focused to help payroll. And we have been having some challenges because many of our minority-owned businesses, many of our non-for-profits, they have everybody on 1099 or they didn't have proper documentation. Right now, the easiest way is to consider the one who have those forms that I mentioned, 940, 941, or W3 form. And in the other group will be those who doesn't have those forms, but can prove that they pay payroll, or they prove that they report profit in the 2019 income taxes, right? It's case by case. And remember, after we collect the documents, we will submit it to the SBA. And after they review the documents, they will provide one SBA loan number. At that point is when BCB Community Bank will provide the customer the money, and we will wait for the SBA to refund the money. For that reason, because we are using our own resources, the president of BCB, Tom Coughlin, he set aside $10 million of BCB money to be allocated to the city of Newark. And that's a lot of money because on the second round, a lot of the applications that we receive are less than 100,000, and many of them less than 50,000. And we have customers that apply for 4, 5, 10, 15, 20,000. Remember, the way that this is calculated is we take the 12-month period for 2019. We divide that by 12. And in the case that the customer have been only in business for 6 months, we will divide that by 6. And what the SBA authorized us is to consider the customer for 2.5 times the amount of money that they spend on average per month in payroll. In that case, if someone spends $10,000, they will qualify for 25, right? Those are the numbers. But basically, we are here to serve the community, and they can reach out via email, through your office, via cell phone, whatever it is easy for the customer, right? Just make sure that ideally everything will be provided to us via mail or email. And we will, the president of BCB, Tom Coughlin, also offer that if it's needed, we will do like whatever is needed in order for us to assist those businesses in the city of Newark. We are here to help. We are here to assist. We are open for business, and we are willing to consider as many businesses and non-for-profit 501c3s as we can.
Hey, Louis, this is Chris from the Mount Prospect Partnership. Just a quick question. Could you provide an overview of programs beyond the payroll protection, emergency loans, perhaps that are also available to give people an idea of other avenues that they do have, and also for those businesses that may not have as much W-2 payroll expense, for those businesses that may be operating in the 1099 world a little bit more. Can you give us some ideas on what might be available to those businesses as well?
Okay, you mentioned the two options that the federal government offered to the SBA. The EDA also offers a few programs that are maxed out at the moment. And the other line are the CDFIs, the Community Development Financial Institutions that are in the state. Most of them are non-for-profits, and they are designed to close the gap especially into access to capital for minority-owned businesses, right?
Right.
We are expecting that as a second or a third wave of help will come through the government, and they are discussing something called Main Street loans that we will be able to offer. And the other thing is that I believe that now that the state and the counties and the cities receive EDPG money, they will be able to implement other types of help. One of the things that we discussed from the beginning is that the help that is available only will reach out to probably 40% of the businesses. And the main reason was because the idea was the government didn't want that everybody go to unemployment at the same time, because was not able to serve as many people. And I want to make a parenthesis here because, you know, I also want to congratulate the SBA that, you know, even with the difficult time that they have, the website never crashed in a sense that was out of service for a long period of time. And the amount of applications that we received in the first and the second round was overwhelming. I was in another Zoom meeting the other day, and one person from a regional bank was saying that they process in a month what they process in the past 40 years. And we process like double the amount of loans that we process on an entire year in just 1 week. That's the dimension of this problem, and that's how we are trying to solve the problem. Now, the other thing is that many non-for-profits, and Newark has one that is just for Newark, which is amazing, that also will be able to connect you with the resources that are available. Not all of them are loans or grants, but sometimes is the opportunity to pivot from one business to another. And the other thing that we see is that business owners are collaborating between 2 or 3 of them, and that way they are helping each other to move forward.
Right. Louis, just going back to the PPP,
Yes.
Can you fill people in a little bit on the forgiveness component of this loan? And some of the, there's been a lot of concern out there about making sure that whatever we do, that we conduct our business in a way that is compliant with the forgiveness component of these loans. Could you just review the major principles of that so that people understand that if they do the right thing, that they should anticipate complete forgiveness of the loan?
Yes. No matter what I say, the information will change. And let me tell you, we receive at least 1 or 2 emails a day from the SBA. And I just want to address that we are in this together. This is no banks against members or business owners. The reason because this have been changing is because we realize the difficult times that we're having. Ideally, you need to spend 75% of the money that you receive on payroll. And the other 25% will allow you to spend on other things that are not necessarily related with payroll, right?
Right.
But a lot of people and a lot of businesses have been expressing a lot of concerns. Why? Because a few of them, they still close as today. They may be able to reopen partially on Monday due to the regulations that the governor put in place. But as today, beauty salons, barber shops, spas are closed, right? If they received the money a week ago, they didn't have the ability to pay the employees, right?
Right.
some cases, when the employee make a little, like the smallest amount of money, the unemployment is better than the job. And a few people will express, no, I will stay on unemployment rather than go back to work. Also, remember that many of our employees, they don't have the ability to go back to work because they have children or adults that they need to take care, and is no a place where they can go. For that reason, as I say, what we are working right now is, after you receive the money, you need to focus on spend at least 70%, 75% of the money on payroll, right? After you hit that, you will be able to consider other things, but I'm expecting that by Monday, we will receive another update from the SBA with all the details. And as I say, those updates are daily and sometimes twice a day or more. For that reason, you need to be updated very often. The other thing is that, remember that the report that we use to process the Payroll Protection Program application is the 940 or the CARES Act report that come from the payroll company. What I'm telling a lot of people is that the same report will require when they apply to be forgive, right? For that reason, they need to be able to continue to pay the payroll through the same company. A lot of small business owners that didn't have the ability to apply was because they was not able to produce that report because they was not using a big payroll company, and they was able to adjust really quick to a point that in less than a week, a few of them, they adjust the report and people was able to qualify for a larger amount of money. For that reason, please focus on paying payroll, at least 75%, and the other things that can be considered are health insurance and other rent and other things. But the most important thing is that 75% goes directly to payroll.
Luis, this is Anibal. From an auditing standpoint, what could grant recipients expect from the Small Business Administration once they receive this money?
I mean, they announced that they will be focused on people that receive 2 million or more, because in the first round, the money ran out really fast. And for that reason, they decide to focus on audit those applications, right? The smallest one, I will say that they are the majority of the applications that we founded on the second round, and was just because the volume was too high and because the process was really fast. And I think that the main document that will be required will be the 940, just to prove that they keep the same amount of people working as before. And the other thing is that they will offer a safe harbor where will be extending the 8 weeks for a longer period, because they understand that if someone received the money on Monday, but only next week on Monday, they will be able to open the business. Now you have 1 week that you have the money, but you didn't have the ability to open, right? Those considerations will be made by the SBA, and we as a intermediary, we will report back to them in order to get the okay from the SBA that the customer doesn't need to repay that money.
Yeah, the SBA issued guidance 2 days ago as part of that safe harbor guidance. And in that, I thought it was interesting. They made a point of saying that they were going to be providing a higher level of scrutiny to those loans that were above and beyond $2 million. And they didn't go so far as to say this, but it was kind of implied in the guidance that they want to make sure that those small businesses that received funding, that they feel comfortable moving forward and using that money. That was the impression that we got from the guidance, because that's the second time now that they've made a point to let people know that they were really going to be providing scrutiny to the $2 million and above. So I think that's another reason why I think our small business owners should feel comfortable with this funding.
And I also
I'm sorry, Luis.
No.
No, I wanted to ask you, do you have an idea of like what level of participation do we have locally in this program, in the city, in the county? Like how many businesses have applied or taken advantage of the PPP program?
I think that the SBA released the data a week ago, if I'm not mistaken. And on the second round, we get a higher rank that compared with the first round, right? Now, I do believe that the main reason because we still have money is because many of the people that apply for a lot of money got funded on the beginning. And the other reason is people that apply on the second round that probably apply for a lot of money or more than they can report back or for many reasons. After they get approved, they decide not to take the loan or they decide not to take the initial amount. For that reason, we still have money available. And as I mentioned before, this is, you know, on a one-to-one basis. Every time that we receive an application, we submit it. The SBA didn't announce that they run out of money yet. And that's why we are trying to do this because, you know, we can work during the weekend or we can work at night, whatever, in order for us to be able to serve as many small businesses and non-for-profits, because we also know the importance of the 501c3s, non-for-profits in cities like New York.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up if anyone has questions. I know there's some people that joined us via telephone, but for those that I could see, if you raise your hand, then I'll call on you. If not, Ken?
Yeah, thanks. Louis, one question. I applied for the EDIL loan, the emergency, the economic disaster impact loan. Is it, do you have to, is it one or the other? You can either do an EDIL loan or you can do a PPP loan, or can you do both?
You can do both. Now, what happened was on the first round, when people applied for the PPP loan, they was not thinking about applying to the EDA loan or the disaster relief loan, right? Now, if you apply for the disaster relief loan, the only entity that can provide you feedback is the SBA. They, out of the application that you present, because it was just like an intake application, the last question was if you can use up to $10,000 as a grant. And many people receive $1,000 per employee from that portion of the loan. But not everybody receive it. And I always tell people, listen, you know, if we was in another country, we didn't have the opportunity to receive the type of help that we receive. And sometimes we just need to be grateful for what we have. I know that it's not perfect, but it's something. And I'm amazed that the government was able to pass 2 rounds of this help to help us, right? But I don't think that the SBA was prepared. Nobody was prepared. No bank was prepared for this volume. We are in this together, and this is the reason because we need to hold this together. And be patient when you try to reach out to the SBA, because I know that can take a long time. But yes, you can apply to both. If you didn't apply for the PPP program yet, you just need to answer one question on the application that you did apply. The only amount that you can mention at this time is the amount that you receive that could be up to $10,000. The only people that I'm aware that received the disaster relief loan from the SBA have been a couple of veterans, business owners, disabled veteran business owners, and they deserve to get that help because they are always left behind. If sometimes we think that the African American or the Latino community are the last group that have been served, veterans are always at the end of the line. And I am aware that 2 close friends, they received the entire, one received over $100,000 disaster relief loan.
Thank you, Luis. Any other questions from folks who are joining the call? Dupree?
Councilman.
Let me hear from Dupree Kelly first, and then Freeholder Mercado.
How you doing, everybody? Is the same process for the larger 501(c) companies? Is it the same process as the regular small businesses as it is for the 501(c)s?
Yes, the application is the same and the documents that we require are the same. Remember, the documents are required by the SBA. We are just an intermediary at this time.
Freeholder.
Councilman, let me begin by thanking you and your leadership for putting this event together. I want to thank Chris Bernardo and the Mount Prospect Partnership. Luis DeLaHoz, thank you for all the information you provided today. And the Bloomfield Avenue and Lower Broadway Improvement District as co-sponsors. Small businesses have been hurt really bad, and they've been impacted and are really dealing with this hardship. So this event really gives us the information so that we can pass it on to our constituents within Newark. So thank you again for putting this together, and we'll try to do the best we can to get the information to the people that need it most. So thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder. I know Juan Arias had a question. Juan? You're on mute, Juan.
Thank you. Good morning to everybody. And I'd like to have a question. The question is any difference in the qualification based in the age of the company?
No, but for example, if someone opened a business in July, instead of 12 months of payroll, they will only have 6 months. For that reason, instead of dividing the total payroll by 12, we will do it by 6 months, the months that the business was open during 2019. But basically, the number that we need to figure it out is the monthly average payroll. As soon as we get the number, we can multiply that by 2.5 and get the final number of the application.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
And
Luis, I wanted to ask you also, well, one of the questions that's come to our attention related to the limited number of businesses that have been open is the increased costs of PPE, right? The gloves, masks, other things that local businesses now have to purchase in order to serve customers during this pandemic. Are those kind of costs covered in any of these programs from your understanding?
Not yet, but I'm in 2 other committees to reopen the economy in New Jersey, one with the governor and one with the speaker, Coughlin. And today we are on those meetings. I hope that by Monday, we will have better guidance. But as I also say, the other thing that I'm aware of is that the cities and the counties, they have a big role on helping small businesses, especially micro businesses, to get back to where the new reality will be. I'm confident that if we start spending money on our own businesses, and if that money stays as long as we can in our communities, we will be able to contribute that to the recovery, right? Now, I do believe that many non-for-profits and the First Lady also have the Pandemic Relief Fund that is a non-for-profit and is willing to consider to help small businesses. I just want to make a parenthesis. I'm aware that 92% of the businesses in the United States are micro businesses. That means that they have less than 5 employees, including the owner. If 1 of every 3 hire 1 more person, we will face full employment. That's the power of micro businesses. And for the African American and the Latino community and the immigrant community in general, we have more chances to save money if we own our own business versus if we have a job. That's the power of the micro businesses. And those are the businesses that we own, the ones that are on Main Street: barbershop, bodegas, beauty salons, spas, retail stores, restaurants, catering facilities. Those are the type of businesses that we really want to help, because we know the importance for those businesses for our communities. I also want to offer, if anyone has a question in Spanish, si alguien quiere preguntar algo en español, yo tengo esa posibilidad y vamos a tener un grupo de personas que nos ayuden no solo en español, sino en portugués, porque sabemos la importancia de esos dos idiomas en la comunidad en Newark.
Gracias, Luis. The one point I wanted to raise is that, you know, the CARES Act money, you're well aware, has been flowing to municipalities via county governments, right? Because currently the municipalities are not eligible to receive CARES Act money directly. So any guidance that you could provide to us on how you think some of that CARES Act money can be utilized to plan to support, you know, micro businesses and nonprofits would be helpful, because some of us are in a position where we can help advocate at the county level to try to encourage them to start thinking about utilizing some of those resources. Because right now the uses are for testing primarily, you know, purchasing PPE equipment, food for people who right now have no access to meals, you know, so those are now the traditional lines that we see a lot of CARES Act money expenditure on overtime for you know, police personnel. But you raised an important issue regarding the possibility of looking to utilize some of that money to support local businesses in ways that the SBA is not supporting it, and in ways that the state is not in a position to support them at this time.
As with my own experience as a business owner, and you know, I have been to the financial crisis in 2010 and Sandy, and that affected the most our own communities, right? I do believe that we can do many things. Like, this is something that is needed, because it's not only information, but people, when we feel that we have been considered, that we have a voice, that we can speak and that we can ask questions and get answers. This is very important. I will say that 50% of my work on the phone is just trying to offer, like, almost like therapy to people, telling, listen, this is no, don't take this personally. We are in this together. We are moving forward. And as I say, one of the things that the county and the city can do is a buy local campaign, a social media campaign where everybody can participate. And, you know, if I go to Dupre Barber Show, for example, right? And he goes to Juan's Bodega, and Juan Bodega go to Rodrigo Duarte's butcher store, you know, if we start doing that, that's a contribution. And remember, it's the same $20 that I have, but I can make the decision where to spend those dollars and how to support a local friend. And many of us business owners, we have customers that come to our premises and they ask, hey, how is your wife? How is your daughter? Is she still in ballet? Is your son going to soccer or baseball or whatever? Those are the connections that we need to do. And let me tell you, I'm very optimistic that this will bring the best from us as a human beings and help us to move forward. And as I say, buy local, we are in this together. We are no left behind. We need to do our part and we need to follow instructions. And I believe that if we provide the right information and we are able to communicate the resources that are available, we are doing our part to bring our community back.
Thank you, Luis. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to ask Luis, can you give us the contact information if possible?
Yes, my cell phone number is 732-763-8293. 732-763-8293. And you have my Councilman Ramos, you have my business card, and or they can call BCB to the the main number, and they will transfer, or we will have Alejandro Giron is also available. I hope that the president, Tom Coughlin, is in the call. I didn't see him right now, but we are here to support small businesses and non-for-profits. And if you think that you qualify, but you are not 100% sure, don't hesitate to make the call. Please allow us to tell you if you do qualify or not, right? Because many of our business owners, and this surprised me because I still get calls from people that they didn't know that the program was available.
Councilman,
Thank you.
Councilman, I just want to thank you for putting this together, you and your staff. This was very helpful, I think, for a lot of small business owners. Louis, we would very much like to work with you in supporting BCB's expansion into Newark, to the extent that we can perhaps invite you to take a look at both our Mount Prospect Avenue corridor and our Bloomfield Avenue Lower Broadway corridors. We'd welcome the opportunity to show you available space, but we'd also like to work more closely with you on supporting small businesses. We're actually looking to pivot this year and apply a little bit more focus on supporting those businesses that have been impacted by COVID-19. And I think there's some programming opportunities for us to work on together with the councilman's office and also with BCB Bank. So I'd be interested in having those discussions with you.
Yes, I don't make the decision, but I will pass to Tom Coughlin, the president. And I'm glad that we are small enough to be able to get an answer, right? And we are here to help. We know our responsibility, and we are in a position to help, and we're ready to help. And as I say, I witnessed the transformation of Newark working there. And I need to recognize that when I started going there once a week, I used to complain. I didn't allow my team members to go out after 4 p.m. Now I know that we can walk in Newark at 11 p.m. at night without being concerned on everything, right? I witnessed everything that happened. I can mention a couple of restaurants that I visit often. I know a lot of places, and I'm glad to report that we did already help a few businesses in Newark, but we would like to help many more businesses. And the other thing is that education, especially using this type of formats, is important for our business owners. And you have very talented individuals in Newark that if they dedicate 20, 30, 45 minutes to help, especially small business owners, to navigate through the challenges, especially the digital divide, right? Now that everything is becoming just over the internet, they will probably need to put online stores, those type of things. And it's a lot of people that are willing to help small business owners. And Ted Rubin say that network give you outreach, but community give you power. As a community, as a collective, we have the power to embrace each other and to move forward. And it's an African proverb that say that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go like far away, go together. And that's the time that we need to implement that.
Thank you, Luis. I want to take this opportunity. I don't know if Jerry, you want to add anything to what's been said?
Councilman, I'm Jerry Blankman. I'm Chris Bernardo's business partner. And the one thing I might ask Louis is if he could sort of list the ways that the remaining 25% of the PPP loan can be used. Is it for insurance?
Yes, I
rent,
rather prefer
mortgage interest, things like that.
Yeah, if you allow me, I will share the last update that I received from the SBA, that could be early this morning, with Councilman Ramos, and if he can share with everybody, because that way I won't be misquoted or you know, blame that I provide information that is not current. And that happened to me before, because as I say, we receive sometimes 2 updates from the SBA, and it's not that they are planning to like mess with me. Is that these have been so difficult and so fast that they are adjusting things.
I think Louis froze on us. So Jerry, what we'll do is we'll get Dahlia. You could inbox me your email addresses, or get them over to Chris, and we'll make sure we share any instructional items that Luis is able to access to anyone that was on the call. For anyone that's logged in via telephone, you could message me on Facebook your contact information, and I'll make sure I get it over to Dahlia. But I want to take this opportunity to thank Luis in his absence for his willingness to be part of this information session. I've worked with Luis in the past through the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And I have to tell you, for a bank that is in the process of setting itself up in Newark, you know, BCB has been very proactive in making sure that our local businesses and nonprofits take advantage of some of these programs. And we need that same kind of advocacy from other lending institutions in Newark, because unfortunately, you know, access to information, you know, is power. And locally, if we don't have the access to information, technical assistance, we're not going to see a lot of our local businesses take advantage of these opportunities. And as he mentioned, starting Monday, we're going to see, you know, retail shops open on a limited basis in New Jersey. We will hopefully see more openings come soon. We recognize that, you know, the pandemic is still with us. The health crisis is still here, but we have to figure out ways to safely reopen, you know, our economy and allow not-for-profits to play a critical role in helping us serve the community. And, you know, we can definitely do that responsibly and hopefully get some of this assistance to businesses that can really use it, because we know that the first round of PPP, there was a lot of publicity around, you know, multi-billion-dollar, million-dollar corporations, universities like Harvard, taking advantage of these programs who really didn't need access to these programs. And thankfully, some of those institutions have given that money back. But where it's really needed is where most Americans are employed, and that's at the small business level and with nonprofit organizations. So it's our goal in my office to have these regularly. Next time we may have other groups that are providing assistance to local businesses, you know, groups like Invest Newark, Prudential. There will be hopefully more opportunities for us to provide access to information beyond just SBA and PPP. So I want to thank everyone for joining. I hope you all have a safe weekend, and if you need us, you know where to reach me. So thank you so much.